There's a reason why the most envied people in the world rarely make noise, and most of the time, they're Capricorns. They don't have to tell you who they are. They just show up, do what others avoid, and achieve what most only dream about. While the world chases applause, Capricorn is chasing mastery. While others flash temporary brilliance, Capricorn is quietly building something eternal, and that's what makes them so dangerously enviable. Welcome to Zodiac Secrets Revealed. Today, we are diving into the hidden truth behind why Capricorns are the most envied sign in the zodiac. But I'm going to say this now, this isn't your typical fluff piece filled with cliches. Because envy doesn't happen for no reason. People don't envy loud mediocrity. They envy silent excellence. They envy what they can't fake, what they can't speed up, what they can't control. And Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the lord of time and karma, is the embodiment of everything the modern world pretends to be, but can't sustain. Capricorn doesn't just succeed. Capricorn endures. Capricorn doesn't just attract. Capricorn earns. And in a world addicted to shortcuts, filters, and facades, that kind of power threatens people. It's the kind of power that can't be bought, borrowed, or broadcast. It's grown. Slowly. Internally. Unshakably. You've seen it. Maybe in your boss who built a company from nothing and now mentors others without asking for praise. Maybe in that friend who's been through hell and never lost their dignity. Or maybe in that quiet parent who never said, "I love you" in dramatic ways, but showed up every day, working 2 jobs, creating stability out of pure grit. Capricorn power isn't performative. It's real. And it's rare. But why do they draw so much envy? Because most people sense that Capricorn has something they don't. Something they secretly wish they had. Not just success, but self-mastery. Not just goals, but grit. Not just a dream, but the ability to execute. In this video, we're going to uncover 12 very specific reasons why Capricorns attract such deep admiration, curiosity, and yes, even jealousy. And we won't just stop there. Each reason we explore will end with a life lesson, one you can apply whether you're a Capricorn or not. Because the truth is, what makes Capricorn exceptional isn't limited to the stars under which they were born. It's in the decisions they make daily. Decisions that any of us can choose if we're brave enough. If you've ever felt like you were the one climbing while others partied. If you've ever been doubted, mocked, or misunderstood because you played the long game in a world obsessed with the quick win. If you've ever felt like your silence made people nervous, then you already know a piece of Capricorn magic because you've lived it. So before we begin, I invite you to reflect. Which part of you has been underestimated, simply because it wasn't loud? Because sometimes, the most dangerous power isn't the one that shouts. It's the one that watches, waits, and then wins. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because what we're about to explore may just change how you see Capricorn, and how you see yourself. Let's climb. Reason 1: Unwavering determination. The power to rise without permission. Capricorn isn't just determined. Capricorn is inevitable. Where others try to force the door open, Capricorn builds a staircase to the top floor. Brick by brick. In silence. Without asking for applause. This isn't motivation. It's something older. Something deeper. A sacred contract between the Capricorn soul and the mountain it came here to climb. Let me take you into a story, a true story of a woman named Dana, born under the sign of Capricorn, raised in the chaos of a broken home in Detroit. Her father vanished before she turned 6. Her mother struggled with addiction. At 16, Dana worked 2 jobs, aced her classes, and refused to let the poverty around her define her fate. One of her teachers once told her, "Dana, you're working too hard, it's okay to rest." Dana didn't flinch. She looked up and said, "Rest is for when the job is done. My family depends on me becoming someone." Today, Dana owns a chain of wellness centers, leads mentorship programs for single mothers, and never once brags about her past. She doesn't need to. Her actions are her autobiography. Her silence is filled with history, and her eyes carry the weight of every mountain she climbed when nobody believed she could. That's Capricorn. They don't complain. They don't beg. They endure. Where others see a wall, Capricorn sees a challenge that must be studied, climbed, and eventually conquered. They aren't seduced by instant results. They're seduced by the promise of what lasts. That's why they often feel alone, because very few people are willing to walk the same uphill road they choose. Capricorn's determination is not just stubbornness. It's rooted in something spiritual, the Saturnian understanding of time, consequence, and karma. They don't just want success, they want to deserve it. In a culture obsessed with hacks, shortcuts, and going viral, Capricorn dares to move slowly, with purpose. And that's threatening to people. Why? Because when someone walks in integrity for 10 years, it reveals who built their lives on shortcuts. Capricorn is the mirror most people don't want to look into. And this is where envy enters. Not the kind of envy that hates, but the kind that aches. The kind that says, "How does she keep going when I quit after 2 tries?" The kind that whispers, "Why does he seem unbreakable when I fall apart under pressure?" What most don't realize is, Capricorn doesn't do it without fear. They do it despite fear. They've simply learned something many never discover. That the path doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. Life lesson, the climber's code. You don't need to be born under Capricorn to learn from their discipline. In a world that teaches you to give up when it gets uncomfortable, let Capricorn remind you. Consistency beats intensity. Character beats charisma. And the quiet climber always outlasts the noisy tourist. If you're facing something right now that feels like a mountain, remember this. You don't have to leap to the summit. You only need to take the next step. And if you do that enough times, you'll wake up one day and realize you built the life no one thought you could. Reason 2, strategic wealth building. The art of building empires in silence. Capricorn doesn't chase money. They engineer wealth. There's a major difference between getting rich and building wealth. One is about the moment. The other is about the mission. And Capricorn, they're playing for the legacy. While others are busy flashing lifestyle, Capricorn is crafting infrastructure. We've all seen it. That Capricorn you know, the one who never brags, never overspends, never moves impulsively, yet somehow, they always have enough. Enough to cover the emergencies. Enough to invest in the future. Enough to retire early while still looking like they're just getting started. But how? Let me tell you the story of Eric, a Capricorn man raised in rural Texas. His family never had much, and his first paycheck was from a fast food joint. But instead of splurging on shoes or parties like his peers, Eric set aside 15% from the very beginning. He didn't read that in a book, it was instinct. A quiet voice inside him said, "You're not here to impress. You're here to build." Eric didn't win the lottery. He didn't go viral. He just never stopped laying bricks. Today, he owns 12 properties, lives debt-free, and funds college scholarships for underprivileged students, and when you ask him about it, he simply says, "I just did what made sense." That's Capricorn wealth. Quiet. Intentional. Powerful. Capricorn understands something most people miss. Wealth is not what you spend. It's what you protect. And more than that, Capricorn sees wealth as a form of service. A tool. A responsibility. They don't just want money to flex. They want money to build safety nets for their families. To create stability in a chaotic world. To fund visions that outlive them. And because they're ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, systems, and karma, they inherently understand cause and effect. While other signs might be tempted by get-rich-quick energy, Capricorn embodies the wisdom of get-rich-right. They know every dollar has a job. Every investment has a ripple. Every choice compounds. Even as children, many Capricorns show signs of this early. Saving lunch money, running little side hustles, or quietly keeping track of spending when others don't care. It's not just about materialism, it's about mastery. And here's what really makes people envious. Capricorns don't look like they're trying. They're not loud about their ambitions. But one day, you look up and realize they own the room you're still trying to rent. It's not luck. It's strategy. It's not obsession. It's discipline. And it's not greed. It's vision. Life lesson. Become a steward, not just a spender. You don't need to be a Capricorn to build like one. In a culture that teaches you to live above your means and define success by what you post, Capricorn shows us that real power is quiet. It's found in the savings account no one sees, the property quietly appreciating over decades, the freedom to say no to toxic jobs or relationships because you planned ahead. Wealth doesn't have to scream. It can whisper and still echo for generations. Ask yourself, are you building for the moment? Or are you building something meant to last? Because Capricorn already made their choice. Now it's your turn. Reason 3: Ageless wisdom. The old soul that walks among us. Capricorn doesn't just age, they evolve. From the moment they enter the world, there's something different in their eyes. It's not innocence lost, it's insight earned. As if they arrived with an ancient compass already buried inside them, and they've been quietly following it ever since. You see it in the Capricorn child who prefers deep conversations with elders instead of playground games. The teen who saves their birthday money while everyone else spends theirs on trends. The young adult who reads books about investing, leadership, or philosophy while others chase distractions. These aren't accidents. Capricorns are ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, responsibility, and karma. It gives them a strange gift, a soul that feels older than the body it inhabits. And that wisdom, it's not just knowledge, it's perspective. The ability to see beyond the noise and anchor into what actually matters. Let me tell you about Christine, a Capricorn woman from Arizona. At 28, her younger sister was going through a messy divorce. Everyone in the family had an opinion. Some were angry, some took sides, some spread rumors. Christine stayed quiet, until one night at dinner, she stood up and said something no one expected. She's not the same girl who got married at 22. Sometimes we grow. Sometimes we outgrow. That doesn't make her a failure. That makes her honest. No raised voice. No judgment. Just clarity. That sentence calmed the entire room. Why? Because Christine saw the situation from a higher altitude. She saw through emotion into evolution. That's Capricorn wisdom at work. It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It waits until the right moment and then speaks with authority earned through silence, pain, and observation. In a culture obsessed with youth, novelty, and speed, Capricorn offers the opposite: depth, patience, and timelessness. This is why Capricorns often become more attractive, more influential, and more fulfilled with age. They're like vintage wine, their flavor deepens. Their power compounds. Their light doesn't dim, it becomes more focused. And when you speak with a Capricorn who's done the work, who's been through storms and stayed intact, you don't just hear words. You feel the presence of someone who has seen the map behind the maze. Someone who doesn't need to be loud to be heard. Because Capricorn has learned the truth that few ever accept. It's not how long you live that makes you wise. It's how deeply you process what life gives you. Life lesson: grow into your wisdom. You don't have to rush to have answers. You don't need to pretend to know everything. Wisdom isn't about age, it's about awareness. Capricorn reminds us that time is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Silence is not weakness, it's a source of clarity. And pain, when integrated, becomes power. The world will try to convince you that you have to do everything quickly to matter. But Capricorn teaches the opposite. Let life teach you. Let time mold you. Let the hard moments shape you, not break you. And when the world is lost in panic, chasing the next trend, you'll be the one who stands still, anchored in truth. Because while others grow older, Capricorn grows wiser. And so can you. Reason 4: Emotional self-mastery. The calm in the storm. When the world panics, Capricorn becomes still. This isn't because they don't feel. It's because they've trained themselves to respond, not react. Capricorn's emotional strength is not about suppression. It's about sovereignty. While others are tossed by waves of fear, anger, jealousy, or chaos, Capricorn has quietly built an anchor within. One that doesn't get pulled into emotional currents every time the tide turns. It begins early. Many Capricorns learn to self-regulate out of necessity. They grew up in homes where they were the strong one, the dependable child, The sibling who held it together when the adults around them fell apart. That early conditioning forged emotional muscles most people never build. But there's more to it than survival. Capricorn has a sacred understanding. If you let emotions rule your life, someone else is always in control. Let me tell you about Nathan, a Capricorn tech consultant in New York. In a high-pressure pitch meeting with international clients, things went sideways. A junior team member made a critical error, accidentally deleting a key presentation slide. The room went silent. Everyone expected an explosion. The CEO turned toward Nathan. But instead of blaming, yelling, or freezing, Nathan took a slow breath and said, "We can recover from this. Give me 3 minutes." He rebuilt the slide live, turned the mistake into a moment of humility, and by the end of the pitch, they closed the deal. Afterward, a younger colleague asked, "How did you stay so calm?" Nathan smiled. "It's not that I didn't feel the panic. I just didn't let it drive the car." That's Capricorn in motion. The calm commander. The one who refuses to let temporary emotions destroy long-term goals. They feel deeply, but they've learned that emotions are messengers, not masters. And in that lesson lies a kind of emotional freedom that's rare. Capricorns ask themselves, what is this anger teaching me about my boundaries? What is this anxiety showing me about preparation? What is this grief whispering about what matters most? Instead of avoiding emotion, they decode it. Instead of drowning in it, they channel it. Instead of being ruled by it, they rise above it. In a world where emotional outbursts are normalized, even monetized, Capricorn's restraint stands out. It's not coldness. It's clarity. Because while rage burns bridges and panic sabotages progress, Capricorn is quietly crossing rivers and building foundations. That's why people trust them in a crisis. Because their calm is not performative, it's earned. Life lesson: own your inner weather. Life will always bring storms. That part is guaranteed. The question is, will you let those storms live inside you? Capricorn teaches us that emotional maturity doesn't mean feeling less. It means knowing what to do with what you feel. It means breathing before reacting, observing before assuming, choosing your energy rather than leaking it. You don't have to be born with this gift. You can build it like Capricorn does, one moment at a time. The next time you feel yourself spinning out, pause and ask, what would my wiser self do here? Because calm isn't weakness. It's power under control. And Capricorn wields it like a blade made of silence. Reason 5, time-bending productivity. Doing in days what takes others months. Capricorns don't rush. But somehow, they always seem to be ahead. It's as if they've unlocked a secret dimension where time stretches, bends, and bows in their favor. While others are constantly busy, spinning plates, multitasking, staying up late and getting nowhere, Capricorn moves through the day with quiet precision and leaves behind a trail of results. This isn't magic. It's mastery of rhythm. Capricorn understands something that modern culture has forgotten. Discipline creates time. Chaos steals it. Let me share the story of Melina, a Capricorn single mother from North Carolina. She works a full-time job, takes night classes, runs a small Etsy shop, and still finds time to tutor her son and volunteer once a week. When people ask her how she does it, she always laughs and says, "I just don't do what doesn't matter." Melina's secret? She knows her energy cycles. She doesn't fill her day with distractions. She gets up early when her focus is strongest, does deep work in the first few hours, and batches her errands and communication efficiently. There's no chaos in her routine, only intention. People assume she's some kind of superhuman. She's not. She's just living proof that structure is freedom. That's the Capricorn paradox. Their routines, schedules, and systems don't trap them, they free them. Because when you stop wasting time deciding what to do, you start doing. Capricorn doesn't get caught in perfectionism or procrastination. They pick the next task and move. Then the next. Then the next. They're not chasing momentum, they're creating it, one aligned action at a time. They treat time like a sacred currency. They spend it with precision. And they invest it in what builds, what lasts, and what leads to liberation. While others burn out in short sprints, Capricorn is running a marathon, paced, prepared, and completely unwilling to stop just because motivation left the room. This is why they seem to do so much while still appearing calm. Because they're not working more. They're working wiser. And this creates envy. Because deep down, many people want that kind of control. They want that clarity, that efficiency, that ability to stay focused while the world scrolls, rushes, and reacts. But they're not willing to give up the distractions that steal their life in pieces. Capricorn is. That's why they win. Life lesson: make time serve you. The world will try to convince you that you don't have time. Capricorn calls that bluff. They teach us that time is not the enemy. Distraction is. Want more hours in your day? Cut what doesn't align. Learn your natural focus rhythms. Create rituals instead of relying on random bursts of energy. You don't have to run harder. You just have to run smarter. Capricorn shows us that you don't need a 25-hour day to get ahead. You need a 25-second decision made every morning to live with intention. Because time isn't the problem. It's how we choose to spend it. And Capricorn, they've already made the choice. Now it's your turn. Reason 6: Elite Inner Circle. Trust is a sacred door. Capricorn doesn't let just anyone in. And that's exactly why their loyalty means so much. In a world overflowing with casual acquaintances, filtered images, and friends who vanish when the storm hits, Capricorn builds something rarer: a circle, not a crowd. They don't collect people. They cultivate them. You can feel it when you're around a true Capricorn. They're polite, maybe even warm, but there's a barrier you can't quite name. It's not coldness. It's discernment. And if you've ever earned your way past that wall, you know what it feels like to be truly, fiercely chosen. Let me tell you about Marcus, a Capricorn bartender from Chicago. On the surface, he was friendly with everyone. But if you paid attention, you'd notice something different about the 5 people who sat at the same corner of the bar every Sunday night. They weren't just regulars, they were family. Each of them had gone through a moment of crisis, a death, a divorce, a lost job. And every single time, it was Marcus who showed up with solutions. Not just sympathy. Not just words. He'd help them move. Fix their car. Find them work. No announcement. No social media post. Just quiet action. When asked why he did so much, Marcus once said, "I don't spread myself thin. But if you're in my circle, I carry you." That's the Capricorn code. Fewer people. Stronger bonds. And it's precisely this emotional discipline, this refusal to waste energy on shallow connection, that makes their relationships so unshakable. Their loyalty isn't passive. It's intentional. They study you before trusting you. They listen more than they speak. They test for consistency. And when the day comes that they open the door fully, you're not just a friend. You're fortified by their presence. This inner circle isn't just about closeness. It's about alignment. Capricorn seeks those who share their values, respect boundaries, move with integrity, understand ambition and silence. And because of that, their relationships often become lifelong. What others envy, though they won't say it, is how safe people feel around Capricorn. There's no guessing. No manipulation. Just clarity. You know where you stand. And when the world gets loud and fake, Capricorn's steadiness feels like home. This isn't just true in friendships. It's true in business. In love. In family. Capricorn doesn't always say "I love you 100 times, but when they protect, provide, and plan around you, that is love in action. And because they're selective, the people they do trust often rise with them. Their circle becomes a launchpad, not just a shelter. Life lesson: don't just add people. Choose them. You don't need 100 contacts. You need 5 people you'd go to war with and who would go to war for you. Capricorn teaches us that real connection doesn't come from constant attention. It comes from earned trust. Here's how to apply it. Watch how people handle your silence. Watch who supports you when it's inconvenient. Watch who celebrates your growth without insecurity. Then, build around them. You have a limited amount of energy in this life. Don't spend it on people who drain you. Invest it in those who reflect your values and multiply your peace. Because at the end of the day, your circle isn't just who you talk to. It's who shapes you. And Capricorn, they've already done the math. Quality over quantity. Every single time. Reason 7. Elegant authority. The power that doesn't need to yell. Capricorn doesn't walk into a room and demand respect. They walk in and receive it. There's something about their presence. A calm gravity. An unspoken strength that settles the energy around them. It's not theatrical. It's not loud. It's earned. This is elegant authority, not power taken by force, but power that's recognized. Capricorns don't lead with ego. They lead with competence. And that's exactly what makes them so magnetic. You don't see them constantly proving themselves because the results already did that for them. Let me share a story. Amanda, a Capricorn operations manager in Seattle, had just been promoted. Her team was nervous. New leadership often means new problems. But Amanda didn't start by changing everything. She observed. She listened. She watched the patterns no one else noticed. Then one Friday, a crisis hit, a system crash that threatened a high-value client account. While others panicked, Amanda moved. Calm. Measured. Direct. She didn't bark orders. She gave clear instructions. She didn't blame. She solved. She didn't dominate the room. She stabilized it. By Monday, not only was the account saved, but her team had rallied around her with a kind of loyalty most managers only dream of. Why? Because her leadership wasn't performative. It was rooted in clarity, character, and confidence. That's the Capricorn way. They don't confuse power with performance. They know true authority doesn't come from control, it comes from credibility. And in a world obsessed with titles, followers, and noise, this kind of leadership is rare and enviable. Capricorns lead like mountain guides, quietly in front, making sure the path is stable for those behind. They don't need to be worshipped. They just need the vision to be protected, the structure to hold, the team to thrive. This authority extends into every part of their life. As a parent, they're respected without having to punish constantly. As a friend, they're sought after when real decisions must be made. As a partner, their words carry weight because they speak only when they've thought it through. Capricorn knows that to truly lead, you have to do more than talk. You have to model. And the world watches. Life lesson: lead without shouting. There are two kinds of leaders. The kind who demand attention, and the kind who earn trust. Capricorn shows us that leadership isn't about ego or drama. It's about listening before speaking, acting with consistency, making decisions that serve something greater than yourself. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the most anchored. In your family, in your career, in your community. True authority doesn't shout. It radiates. So instead of trying to be in charge, try this. Be the one people trust when things fall apart. Be the one who doesn't flinch. Be the one who acts, not just reacts. That's the Capricorn blueprint. And it's available to anyone who's willing to lead from the inside out. Reason 8. Unshakable self-discipline. When purpose becomes stronger than excuses. Capricorn doesn't wait for motivation. They create momentum. In a world constantly chasing the next burst of inspiration, the next productivity hack, the next reason to feel excited, Capricorn simply shows up. Day after day. Without the applause. Without the perfect mood. Without someone watching. And that's why they finish what others only fantasize about starting. Self-discipline isn't just a trait for Capricorn. It's a way of life. It's the quiet refusal to be ruled by impulse. The daily decision to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. Let me introduce you to Aaron, a Capricorn Navy veteran from Colorado. After retiring from service, he faced something even harder than war, civilian life with no structure. Many of his peers drifted, some to addiction, some to depression, some to permanent instability. But Aaron, he built a routine. He woke up at 5 a.m. every day, trained his body, read one book per week, applied to jobs, even when no one replied. He started a handyman business out of the back of his pickup truck. It took 2 years to break even. 5 years later, he runs a team of 15, supports his aging parents, and mentors troubled teens in his community. And when asked what kept him going, Aaron said, "Discipline gave me back my future." That's Capricorn in action. They understand something our culture keeps forgetting. Freedom is not the absence of rules. Freedom is the result of self-governance. While others are ruled by their cravings, distractions, and emotional swings, Capricorn has trained themselves to align behavior with values, not feelings. This doesn't mean they don't enjoy life. In fact, Capricorns often indulge more meaningfully because they earn their pleasures. They delay gratification not out of fear, but out of wisdom. They know that the deeper satisfaction comes not from immediate highs, but from sustainable peace. Discipline doesn't mean saying no to everything. It means saying yes to what matters most, even when it's inconvenient. They don't rely on willpower alone. They build systems. Capricorns automate their success by creating rituals, structure, boundaries, and commitments. They don't hope for progress. They design for it. And when they fall off track, because they're human too, they don't spiral. They don't use failure as an excuse to stop. They recalibrate and return. That's why people envy their consistency. Because deep down, everyone wants to trust themselves like that. To follow through. To become the kind of person who does what they say they'll do. Capricorn is that person not because it's easy, but because they've practiced until it's natural. Life lesson: train the muscle of commitment. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Capricorn teaches us that the real battle is rarely against the world, it's against the voice inside that says, "Let's just do it tomorrow." But here's the truth. Your habits are voting on your future. Your schedule is shaping your legacy. Your self-talk is programming your self-worth. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start small. Start sacred. Start now. Create one routine that honors your highest self. Keep one promise to yourself this week. Show up even when it's hard. Especially then. Because every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen the part of you that leads your life instead of reacting to it. Capricorn doesn't win because they're the most talented. They win because they don't quit. And neither should you. Reason 9: Secret depth. The ocean hiding under the ice. People think they know Capricorn. They see the structure, the logic, the discipline, and assume it ends there. But they're wrong. So very wrong. Because beneath Capricorn's composed exterior lives a vast ocean, deeper than most will ever touch, and quieter than most will ever hear. This is Capricorn's secret. Their depth is invisible by design. In a culture obsessed with sharing everything, oversharing, over-explaining, overexposing, Capricorn dares to remain a mystery. And in doing so, they become unforgettable. You've probably met one. The Capricorn who rarely speaks in crowds, but when they do, every word lands like a stone in still water. The one who doesn't flaunt emotions, but who, in a private moment, reveals a tenderness so raw it leaves you speechless. The one who seems guarded, until they trust you, and then you realize you're standing inside a cathedral of emotion you never knew existed. That's the magic of their depth. Let me tell you about Rosa, a Capricorn poet and hospice nurse in Oregon. At work, she was clinical, precise, always professional. But behind closed doors, she kept handwritten journals filled with letters to the souls she'd cared for in their final days. She wrote to the dying, to the grieving, to herself. Her colleagues never knew. One day, a grieving daughter found one of Rosa's poems tucked inside her father's belongings. It read, "You are not gone. You are folded into the fabric of the silence we now sit in." The daughter published it. That poem went viral. And when Rosa was asked why she never shared her work before, she said, "I wasn't writing for recognition. I was writing to survive." That's Capricorn's secret depth. They're not emotionless. They're full of emotion, just not performative about it. They love with intensity. They hurt with grace. They reflect with diligence. But they share selectively because vulnerability, to them, is sacred. And here's what people envy: even if they won't admit it. Capricorns don't need the world to validate their feelings. They know what they carry inside, and that's enough. While others chase likes, attention, or external mirrors, Capricorn finds stillness in internal richness. And that creates a magnetism that can't be faked. Because what's rare is desired. And Capricorn's depth is rare. Life lesson: protect your mystery. You don't owe everyone your inner world. Capricorn teaches us that privacy is power, not a weakness, not a flaw, not a failure to open up, but a choice. Your feelings are sacred. Your thoughts are holy. And your depth, it's not meant for the whole world, just the ones who earn it. Don't be afraid to keep some things for yourself. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. You are not obligated to bleed just to prove you're alive. You are not required to explain your silence. You are not here to entertain. You are here to grow your roots in stillness, so when the winds come, you stand tall while others collapse. Capricorn doesn't unfold all at once. And neither should you. Let the right people discover you, layer by sacred layer. Reason 10, timeless style, the silent language of self-respect. Capricorn doesn't follow trends. They follow truth. And when it comes to how they present themselves to the world, whether in fashion, decor, or demeanor, it's never about being flashy. It's about being aligned. Capricorn's style isn't loud. It's anchored. The moment they walk in, you notice something, not because they're screaming for attention, but because they carry an energy that whispers, "I know who I am." They aren't dressing to impress. They're dressing to reflect something internal. That's what makes it timeless. Let me introduce you to Jules, a Capricorn visual designer living in Manhattan. Her wardrobe wasn't massive, but every piece was chosen with care. Her apartment, minimal, clean, beautiful. Every object told a story. Every corner had purpose. One of her clients, overwhelmed by decisions during a branding consult, asked, "How do you always know what fits?" Jules answered, "Because I don't confuse chaos with creativity. Style is just structure made beautiful." That's the essence of Capricorn. They're not here for every trend, every passing wave. They're here for the architecture of identity. Their style evolves, but it never abandons its foundation. They might wear a black turtleneck today and a tailored earth tone jacket tomorrow, but both reflect the same message. I am rooted. I am real. I am refined. And what most don't realize is, Capricorn's outer world is often a mirror of their inner world. They clean their spaces not just for aesthetics, but for mental clarity. They choose simplicity not because they lack imagination, but because they value peace. They understand what many overlook. Style isn't about dressing up. It's about showing up as yourself every single time. This doesn't just apply to fashion or design. It applies to how they speak, how they write, how they carry themselves in public and in private. Their style is holistic, consistent, rooted in integrity. And yes, it's enviable. Because while others constantly reinvent themselves to be noticed, Capricorn remains consistent, and eventually, the world turns around and calls it classic. Life lesson: let your presence speak. Capricorn reminds us that true style doesn't shout. It speaks softly, powerfully, clearly. Here's what they teach. You don't need more. You need meaning. You don't need to chase trends. You need to know your values. You don't need to impress. You need to express your essence. Clean your space, not for perfection, but to protect your peace. Choose clothing that makes you feel like your highest self, not the noisiest self. Surround yourself with items that tell your story, not someone else's fantasy. Because when your outer world aligns with your inner truth, you become a force without needing force. Capricorn doesn't try to be timeless. They simply refuse to pretend. And in a world of copy-paste personas, that's the real luxury. Reason 11, strategic patience, the power of divine timing. Capricorn doesn't rush. Not because they're slow, but because they know what happens when you harvest before it's ripe. There's a kind of patience Capricorn carries that most people don't understand. Not the kind that waits passively, but the kind that chooses the right moment with the wisdom of someone who's already lived this life before. In a world that rewards speed, instant results, and overnight fame, Capricorn moves with ancient rhythm. They trust the process. They understand the seasons of becoming. Let me share the story of Elijah, a Capricorn craftsman from Vermont. After losing his corporate job during a recession, he didn't panic. He didn't jump into the first gig he could find. He sat in the unknown. Then slowly, he began carving wooden furniture in his garage, not for profit, but for peace. Friends told him to pivot, monetize, rush the business. But Elijah knew what they didn't, the art was still becoming. It took him 5 years to open his first storefront. But when he did, it sold out in 2 weeks. His work had been featured in local galleries. And today, his pieces sit in homes across the country, signed not with flashy logos, but with a small engraving, built in time. When asked what kept him steady, Elijah said, "If I had rushed it, I would have broken it." That's Capricorn patience. It's not laziness. It's strategy. They don't push the river. They build the banks and wait for the current to catch up. Capricorn understands that timing isn't just about opportunity, it's about readiness. They've seen what happens when people jump too early. Marry before healing. Launch before planning. Speak before listening. Spend before saving. Capricorn avoids all of that. Not because they're immune to desire, but because they've mastered delay in service of destiny. That's what people envy. Not just their results, but their ability to wait without wasting. Because while others get caught in the high of now, Capricorn is building for the always. And when their moment comes, they're ready because they prepared. Life lesson: let the roots grow first. Capricorn teaches us that sometimes the best thing you can do is pause. Not because you're stuck, but because something inside you is still maturing. Here's what they remind us. You don't need to force what's meant for you. You don't need to chase what's not ready to bloom. You don't need to panic in the silence, the seed grows underground first. Strategic patience is about knowing when to move and when to wait. When to act and when to prepare. Capricorn doesn't wait out of fear. They wait from a place of trust. Because they know that when it's time, they won't have to fight for the door to open. It will open because they are ready. So if you're in a waiting season right now, don't mistake it for failure. It might be the most sacred part of your story. Wait wisely. Wait actively. Wait with your eyes open and your heart strong. Capricorn did. And when their time came, they didn't just rise. They ruled. Reason 12, Transformative Growth, the rise from stone to star. Capricorn doesn't just grow. They ascend. Not in leaps. Not in flashes. But in quiet, sacred stages. Their transformation is not theatrical, it's tectonic. Slow. Massive. Irreversible. And that's what makes it awe-inspiring. Capricorns are born under the weight of Saturn, the planet of pressure, time, and karma. It doesn't gift them ease. It gifts them depth by putting them through what others avoid. Their path is not the most comfortable. It's the most constructive. Capricorns evolve not by escaping pain, but by turning it into wisdom, discipline, and fuel. Let me tell you about Layla, a Capricorn who began life in foster care, moved through 6 homes before she turned 12, and never had a birthday party until college. She could have become bitter. She could have shut down. Instead, she journaled. She studied. She watched people, how they failed, how they lied, how they endured. She paid attention. By 30, she had launched a non-profit that helps at-risk youth find mentors and stability. When asked how she did it, she simply said, "I learned how to take what broke me and build with it." That is the Capricorn spirit. They don't wear their wounds as a reason to stop. They use them as bricks to build the next version of themselves. Each hardship becomes part of their architecture, not in a way that makes them hard, but in a way that makes them whole. This is the kind of growth others envy. Because while some burn bright and fade, Capricorn burns slow and becomes permanent. While others rise fast and collapse, Capricorn rises with foundation. And their growth is never one-dimensional. They evolve emotionally, professionally, spiritually all at once, like a mountain climbing toward the sky but still rooted in bedrock. They don't chase reinvention. They embrace integration. Every past version of themselves lives inside, not as shame, but as stone laid wisely in their internal temple. What makes them so quietly envied is that nothing in their life is wasted. Not the mistakes. Not the heartbreaks. Not the years spent in the shadows. Everything becomes material for the masterpiece. Life lesson: rise with roots. Capricorn teaches us that real transformation is not about changing who you are, but becoming who you were meant to be, all along. Here's how they grow. Through practice, not perfection. Through pressure, not praise. Through structure, not shortcuts. They remind us. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You need consistent, sacred building. You don't need to erase your past. You need to let it refine you. You don't need to become someone new. You need to become more you. Whatever pain you've survived, let it shape your wisdom. Whatever time you've lost, let it build your timing. Whatever storm you've weathered, let it anchor your strength. Growth isn't about speed. It's about substance. Capricorn's transformation doesn't just change their life, it changes the lives around them. Because when one person rises from the ashes with purpose and patience, they become a light tower for others still in the dark. And Capricorn, they carry that light with no need for applause. Because the view from the top is its own reward. And they earned every step. Conclusion: the mountain that became a mirror. So now you know. It's not just about Capricorn's success. It's about how they built it. Stone by stone. Scar by scar. Year by silent year. We've climbed through 12 reasons why this sign, more than any other, draws envy, respect, admiration, and even misunderstanding. Not because they chase the spotlight, but because they survive without it. Let's remember what we've uncovered together. Their unwavering determination that transforms failure into fuel. Their strategic wealth building that turns small steps into empires. Their ageless wisdom that walks decades ahead of its time. Their emotional self-mastery that creates calm in a culture of chaos. Their time-bending productivity that makes every moment meaningful. Their elite inner circle that proves loyalty still exists. Their elegant authority that leads without domination. Their unshakable self-discipline that walks the talk when others quit. Their secret depth that hides entire oceans under their silence. Their timeless style that reflects a soul that doesn't chase trends. Their strategic patience that trusts divine timing. And finally, their transformative growth, the quiet rise that changes everything. Capricorn doesn't just live life. They construct it. They turn obstacles into blueprints. Pain into foundation. Solitude into sanctuary, and they do it all while carrying the weight of Saturn, the planet that tests, delays, refines, and rewards. That's why people envy them, not because they're perfect, but because they've earned every inch of who they've become. And that's the invitation for you, too. You don't have to be a Capricorn to live like one. You can cultivate inner steadiness instead of outer noise. You can build slowly, intentionally, and with depth. You can protect your energy, speak only when it matters, and act from vision, not reaction. Because Capricorn's story is really the story of what happens when someone doesn't give up, not on the dream, not on the process, and most importantly, not on themselves. Final life lesson: become the mountain. Capricorn doesn't ask for shortcuts. They become the mountain others climb to seek direction. And you can become that, too. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, stillness over chaos, legacy over applause, you place one more stone in the foundation of your own greatness. This isn't just about the stars. It's about who you decide to become when no one is watching. Let the world chase what sparkles. You chase what stands. Because Capricorn doesn't rise fast. They rise forever. Call to action. Join the climb. If this journey into the Capricorn spirit moved you, don't just click away. Leave a comment below. Which of the 12 traits do you see in yourself or wish to build? Do you know a Capricorn who embodies these truths? Tell us their story. Tell us yours. Because your voice adds depth to this conversation. Type Capricorn Legacy and share your thoughts, we're listening. And if you felt the wisdom, the power, the truth in this exploration, Don't forget to subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed. We're building something lasting here, just like Capricorn would. More signs, more truths, more soul. Until next time, remember, you are not behind. You are becoming. And just like Capricorn, you're climbing higher than anyone sees.